Hello and welcome to the EFM Health Club Podcast for another week. We are three guys in fitness here to give you all the information you need for your health, fitness and well-being. With me, as always, we have both Wade Brady and Jason Jesusius. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Good, thanks, Justin.
Excellent. So another week, and we are focusing a little bit more today on one of our four pillars of health that we spoke about a few podcasts ago now. We are focusing in on hydration. So I think everybody pretty much knows the value of hydration. We can go without food for a while, but can really only go for a short period of time without water. If we're in the desert, we're not going to die of hunger. We will die of thirst. So with that in mind, we thought we'd dig a little bit deeper into the benefits of good hydration, why you should be concentrating on it on a daily basis, what might happen if you do start to become dehydrated, and how that's going to affect your day-to-day life. But we will cover off on all of those topics as we go along today. So to get us started, Jace, if you'd like to start us, what are the benefits, the basic benefits of good hydration?
Yeah, all of your body's functions work better when you are hydrated. Moving away from, and that's not just strength. That's your muscle function. That's your cardiovascular fitness. That's your mobility and your flexibility are all going to work better when you're hydrated. Your muscles will be less stiff when you're hydrated. Dehydration can increase stiffness in muscles, and then you flow on to the rest of the body. You look at your brain, your organs. They all function better when you're hydrated. So you start with your brain. Your concentration's better. You sleep better, which means you get better rest. I don't know where to stop. Every single thing in your body, every cell action and reaction works better when your body's hydrated. It's probably the best way to sum that up.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those cliche terms like, are you drinking enough water? I think most people are probably, what was the terminology Justin uses before, most people are in some state of mild dehydration unless they're working on it. I like that. I think it's a real habitual thing, staying hydrated. I think I know I fall out of the habit on a weekend. I can get halfway through the day and realize I haven't even had a drink of water yet. I think there's probably more factors to it than when you start digging down as to why people don't drink enough water. Some people say they don't like the taste of water. Which is an interesting one.
I don't get that at all.
Yeah, maybe it's the Adelaide water. It tastes like chlorine to some people. I know when I moved here, I really noticed it. You do get used to it. There's so many different ways you can treat water. I don't really want to go down that path too much, but you can get some pretty cool filtration systems and get even more out of the water you drink. And obviously the filtration stuff and the minerals and stuff. There's some particular filters that put more minerals in the water. You could do your own research on that. You can spend quite a bit of money on this stuff. And so, yeah, I think most people are not drinking enough water because they're just busy all day. You have to consciously measure it and tick it off.
I was going to say, do you think it's a boredom thing? Like, people don't drink water. So we've come up with this idea that we don't like the taste of water. So I said, you can go to the desert and you won't die of starvation. You're desperate for water. I hear it all the time. I don't like the flavor of water. I need to have some lemon in it, or I need it sparkling at the very least. I don't like. See it as a bit of a boredom thing? People won't drink it because it's just dull. Would I be right? What do you think?
I would agree with that, Justin. I think that we've trained ourselves, like it's almost having a drink is almost a dopamine hit. So whether it's a coffee or or a soft drink, or like you said, the sparkling water, or a tea, some sort of flavor, because there's there's a level of enjoyment attached to the drink, where drinking water is just functional. There's no fun in that if you've trained yourself that way. So, we're not viewing water in that sense. I guess we're not viewing water the way that we should. But water is a survival tool and a very necessary one. It's not for our entertainment or for our enjoyment. It's not its purpose. You can make similar arguments with food. I don't like vegetables. They don't taste nice because you've trained your taste buds to like sugar and sweet things. So
I think that's a really good take, because I think about the people that do drink plenty of water, very healthy beings. A lot of those people say, that's all I drink. I just drink water. And maybe I like to use the term natural world, before there were flavors and abundance of choice, and really all there was water once upon a time, maybe we were more inclined to drink more for the reasons you've just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start talking about your coffees and your teas, and you might go, oh yeah, I have quite a lot of water in my coffee, but then there's the other side of your coffee and alcohol tea where it's a diuretic, which actually dehydrates you. So the net effect, I don't know which research paper you want to refer to, but the net effect could be cancelling out the water in that drink, because I was just having a chat to Justin before about how I try to avoid water when I go to bed at night, because I don't want to have to get up to the toilet in the middle of the night, because that can upset my sleep. Maybe I might not get back to sleep. So it's like, what do I do? Do I wake up with a better sleep but with a headache because I'm dehydrated? And then I think we like sometimes to have a drink in the evening, like a beer or a wine or something. And I've probably made the mistake of looking at a beer and go, well, I'll have a water or a beer. I've had a tough day, I'll have a beer. And then as Justin was saying, that you're going to be more inclined to have to get up and go to the toilet on having the same amount of liquid of alcohol as opposed to water, because one's hydrating you and one's drawing water out of you. So it's just, even like as a health professional, it's funny how you can easily forget these simple, scenarios.
Yeah. Well, I think, like anyone who's had one too many beers during a day or a nighttime will know that their sleep is pretty restless if you've got a bit drunk, and while your body's dealing with all this, your body, it's pretty restless sleep. You don't just wake up and feel refreshed. Like, you feel pretty awful. And a part of it, like, your body's dealing with the alcohol content, but it's also dealing with dehydration. So if you're struggling to sleep and stay asleep, and you're kind of worried that having a glass of water is going to send you running to the toilet at 2 a.m., probably err on the side of the fact that you're probably mildly dehydrated. I'll keep saying that through the whole session here. You're probably mildly dehydrated, and your body will appreciate that water rather than reject it, have you running to the toilet, as a general rule.
Yeah, for sure.
So in terms of like exercise sessions, I wanted to touch on this now. Look, I know I'm not very good. I'm often telling people to put the water bottle down and pick up the dumbbell, like, let's go. I don't have time for you to just keep drinking water through your whole session, exercise session. And maybe I'm a little bit of a Nazi with that. So I probably should stop and think. Having water along, particularly a longer session, I think is quite important. Sipping water here, there, and everywhere, because particularly if you're excessively sweating, it is important. Do you guys think much about, during exercise sessions, drinking yourselves when you're working out, or what you do with the guys in the gym?
Not in the club so much. It's probably more habit. But when I play basketball and I get to half time, if I've left my water bottle in the car, I'm not happy about it. Like, you're looking for the water after you've just been running around flat out for 20 minutes or so. But in the gym, if you're doing weights, not so much. No. Jace?
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with it when I'm in the gym, but outside of the gym, I'll play a whole game I play basketball with Wade, and I'll play a whole game and not drink because I'm just not thinking about it. But I definitely should be. And the same, like I like to run. So if I go for a run, I normally won't drink until I get back, which is fine if it's a 20-minute run. But if it's a 45-minute run, that's really not ideal. I should
a big
be
part of
thinking
that is
about.
what you've done before. A big part of that is what you've done in the hours leading up, of course, too.
It is. But obviously, if you think about it this way, we can only take in so much water at a time, right? So is it fair to say that if I have a half a litre now, some of that is going to pass through me and it's not all going to get absorbed because I've just flooded my system, right? So I'd be better running or not running. I'd be better taking 50 mils now, 10 minutes time, take another 50 mils, 10 minutes time, taking it and doing it that way. If I'm trying to rehydrate myself, when you're running or when you're working out, you're losing sweat and you're losing water through your breath at a reasonably rapid rate, especially if you're training through summer. So to me, in a perfect world, we should be replacing as we go, little bits at a time, because what typically happens, we get to the end of the session, you might be half a litre down, you've got to catch that half a litre up. Well, how do we do that? We often, how many members would you train? How many people would you know? They'll get their bottle of water and they'll smash 600 mils in about 10 minutes. And what did we just say? It's going to go straight through your system. So my theory is to sip as you go, because you get a little bit in at a time, your body can absorb it, and you get to the end of your 45 minutes or your hour. If you've been sipping as you're going, you haven't gotten half a litre behind or a litre behind, depending on your body and your conditions and all those sorts of things. So that's where I stand on it. Good in theory, though. I'm not practicing it very well.
Well, I do like theories, but it's backed up pretty strongly by how drips work. Like I don't know if I've shared this story today. Back in my younger years where, you take a few more risks, I ended up on the back of a ute one night after consuming too many drinks. This is what happens in the country. And let's say I come off the back of the ute, had to get rushed to hospital, and this is going somewhere. And then I had to get an operation done because I pretty much tore my foot off. So I should have been very hungover in hospital the next day, and I was completely fine, and I could not work out what had happened. And then talking to people over the years, it worked out that it would have been on a drip for all those hours after. And it's a drip. You're getting drip fed. So, and that's why these things, which I don't agree with, but, there's clinics, the hangover clinics where you can go and get put on a drip. I'm sure there's other things going on. It's not just straight water going in. But I do like that theory. It makes a lot of sense. But I'm guilty. I'll get to lunchtime on a weekend and go, God, I haven't had anything, and I'll drink a whole thing. And how much of that you absorb, I actually don't know, but it wouldn't be all of it.
I think one of the crucial things to remember too is that, and Jace, you were talking before about water lubricating and having allowing each part of our body to operate effectively. So dehydrated muscle more prone to cramping and more prone to injury. So whilst we again, waters and hydration is kind of a bit of a boring topic. I get it. It's fine. I should drink water, whatever. There are some pretty serious consequences behind it unless you're quite vigilant with it. And we're all, we can all kind of come and go in terms of our vigilance with it, but it is something that really allows us to perform to our optimum, but also keeps us somewhat safe, particularly while we're exercising.
Mm-hmm.
I just love what it does. I just love what it does for the brain function most of all, because it's a bit like a good night's sleep. Like you're going to be thinking clearer, you're going to make better decisions. Life is just better. You're in a happier headspace. And a quick story. I remember my German teacher from about year 4 or something. Probably I was back in high school, so it must have been about year 8 or something. Mr. Reinen Hearing, he was German. And he told us a story, which I still remember. And he said there was an old people's home in Germany where someone had discovered like the oldies aren't drinking anywhere near enough water. Let's up their water intake. And I think it was something like 9 glasses. It's like little glasses, but they got all the people in the home drinking water regularly. And within the space of, I can't remember, it was a long time ago, a month or two, most of them had been able to return home because their brains had started working again. Like, it's so simple, and it makes you wonder today what the practices are in homes and stuff.
And it's, you say that, and at the risk of talking outside of my own area of expertise, you're talking about that it's not just the brain function, but it's your mood and how you feel, and the mental health effects that undoubtedly come up from constant that constant state of dehydration, chronic dehydration. It affects your sleep. If it's affecting your sleep, it's affecting your recovery. You recover better when you're hydrated. You sleep better when you're hydrated. That's got to affect your mental state and your mood. So yes, we're talking about your physical health, but we're talking about your mental health as well. Not to mention, like you said, Wade, your brain's ability to function and do your day to day, whether you're in an old folks home and trying to concentrate, or whether you're in your workplace or with your family or whatever you're doing.
I think more not concerning, but something people should think about. And I think we know a few of these people, each of us, that get up in the morning and might drink 2 liters of water and go, right, I'm done for the day. I'm good. Everyone told me I need to drink 2.5 liters or 8 glasses a day. That's the suggested amount. I'm just going to do it in the first 5 minutes of waking up. I've checked it off. I'm out. I know a couple of those people, and to be honest, I've never been able to change their mind. They just think that's the way to go. To those people, please go back and listen to the last 10 minutes of our conversation about, your body processing it, getting rid of it, and then late in the day when you haven't drunk for 7 hours, now you're dehydrated.
It's funny how, I think I brought this up another time, but it's funny how when we're hungry, our body, like, it's time to eat, where when we're thirsty, too late, you're dehydrated. It's funny how the body doesn't tell you earlier, like when it does tell you it's too late, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How it works.
Well, I think one of the things, so within our gyms too, we're often asked by people how we lose weight. Like, most of the people will come to the gym, some want to go for fitness. A large proportion of people go, I'm here to lose weight. And so we don't give any specific dietary recommendations. But one of the things that I do say often is that we often confuse hunger and thirst, now that you've brought it up, Wade. So both of those signals are handled, the signal for hunger and the signal for thirst are both controlled by one particular area of the brain, and we confuse them constantly. So that's one of the, I guess, one of the reasons and accepted reasons why people often get mildly dehydrated or even dehydrated is the fact that they constantly feel hungry. So they probably overeat, but they never feel thirsty because they're really confusing those two signals. So my advice to people is always, when you, and particularly for those who are wanting to lose weight, but I think it applies to everybody, when you feel hungry, particularly between main meals, if you feel hungry, have a glass of water. Give it 10 minutes. Just wait 10 minutes. If you're still hungry, then yep, sure, you're hungry. If you're not hungry now, you were thirsty, and you're really having a hard time reading those signals in those pathways in your brain. So, and over time, if you take that as a course of action, every time you're hungry, have a glass of water, then I think it'll go a long way to solving some of your hydration issues, and if you're an overeater, some of those overeating issues as well.
Yeah, for sure. Just on the back of what you were talking about there, the one thing we didn't bring up, which is huge for our listeners, is that we talk about the benefits of being hydrated. We burn fat and we burn energy more effectively when we're hydrated. If you are dehydrated, you don't burn energy anywhere near as effectively. So for the people that are going to the gym, dehydrated, training the backsides off and eating all the right foods, and I'm not, doing anything wrong. I'm not getting anywhere. Why? Have a look at, am I hydrated? Because if you're not hydrated, I guarantee you're selling yourself short.
Yeah. It's like a lubricant to get things moving, and it's clearing toxins as well. Would that be correct in saying?
Yeah.
Yes. All of our cells function better when they're hydrated, and when we're burning energy, when we're trying to access energy, there are processes that happen at a cellular level that work more efficiently. They work more effectively when we're hydrated. When we're dehydrated, it's harder to access energy. It's harder to access those processes because it's like you say, it's like a machine that's not oiled. It just doesn't work as effectively. So it's not going to be as productive. We're not going to produce as much energy. If you're hydrated, you will produce more energy, more effectively for longer.
I know you asked the questions, Justin, but I just want to talk about when we go back to quality of water, drinking from plastic versus glass and stainless steel. Like, I think that's something that another health benefit, another thing you could do for your health. Like, I heard from a pretty good source a number of years ago that, how do I say this? Someone that was involved in manufacturing water bottles, okay, that you'd buy from the supermarket. Someone high up that should know said, I'd never drink water out of those things. So for me, don't even need to do any science. If someone at the top of a water bottling company is saying I wouldn't be drinking out of that, and either would my family, I'm just like, if you're stuck, if you're on a road trip and you're out of water, like, sure, grab a bottle of water. But if you're drinking out of these plastic bottles, I think we all know don't leave them in the sun because it leaches chemicals. But I think they leach chemicals regardless. So it's a very simple change people can make. Like, I'm throwing empty plastic water bottles in the bin quite a bit, recycling them. And I could do more in trying to educate people in that space as well. And even if there's any doubt, it's still an easy thing to change. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, I know categorically that there's microplastics being leached into the water. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but it's very easy to make the change. Like, yeah.
What are you supposed to drink out of?
Well, stainless steel or glass.
Right.
My father-in-law is a funny one. He's a landscape gardener, and he's got an old vodka bottle full of water. That's his drink bottle. I think he does it just to get a reaction out of the customers when he rocks up. So glass and stainless steel, they're not going to leach nothing. So why wouldn't you do that just in case?
Yeah. I never really thought about what I drink out of, to be honest. I do know that the people that leave their water bottle, whether it be one of those plastic ones or, the promotional ones, in their gym bag and just keep filling it up without washing it. Running a big risk of having bacteria. I had a lady not that long ago fill up her water bottle for the 50th time in a row, and then something went in the water, so she put a finger in to get it out and found a nice moldy kind of slime just under the rim. She goes,
well, mate, there could be another argument for using glass. Like, if you're using glass, you can see it. Like, if I've got my my aluminium one, that could build up under there, and I might lose track of when I've last washed it. So there's actually, when you start thinking about it, and the mold's not good for you. Like, it's not good for you. It's not good for your brain. Our brains have enough trouble without competing against. Anyway, mine does.
Hey, that might help me. One of my members said to me the other day, they said, Jason, I figured out what's wrong with your brain. I said, what's that? He said, on the left side, there's nothing right. And on the right side, there's nothing left.
That's a nice comment.
Nice. I mean, actually, we could probably write a book, all the things we've seen our members do. My goodness. The mold one, that was pretty good. Yeah.
What was her reaction when she looked at her finger?
Well, she said, I never wash this water bottle. It's my gym water bottle. So I use it when I'm here. And then I fill it up again when I get back here.
I hate washing them. I hate how much Selena puts them on the sink to be washed. But anyway, I'll get on with it.
Look, we have a drawer. There's 4 people in my family. Often we have 8 water bottles on the kitchen sink. After a couple of days, I know I only use one of them. We have a drawer full of water bottles. It drives me insane.
Get rid of the plastic ones, mate. Get rid of the clutter. Easy.
Put the name on them.
We keep buying these kind of the metal ones, the stainless steel ones, cool. And the ones that are, hold in heat, hold in cold, whatever. And then, I mean, when you've got kids that go through primary school and then go to soccer games and athletics, you're forever replacing water bottles. And then suddenly you find a water bottle with some other kid's name on it. You go, where did we get this? I don't know. It was just in the bag. The transfer of water bottles among kids' sports is out of control.
Something to look forward to.
Another joy of having children.
Justin, is it worth perhaps us talking about? So how we talked about, sipping versus guzzling. What about the volume of water? Any thoughts on how much we should be drinking each day? Because we're all different shapes and sizes, right? You used to always hear, 2 liters a day is right. Well, how does that work for a 52 kilo Linda versus 167 kilo Bill, right? Like the math doesn't math.
Yeah.
No. And a bit like the idea of, focusing on water, the answer to that is a little boring. It depends. So, because the standard, you're right. Like the standard measurement usually, and I mentioned before, is about eight glasses a day. Anywhere between 2.5 to 3 liters, depending on size of person, male, female, activity during a day. So what it relies on for you as an individual is to keep track of it yourself. If you haven't been to the toilet all day, and you get to the end of your work day, whether you're working out in the sun as a labourer or you're in an office, climate-controlled office, working on a computer, if you haven't been to the toilet at any point from the time you woke up to the time you leave work, there's a fair chance you haven't drunk enough water. And when you do go, your urine will be quite dark, quite yellow. We want, in terms of an assessment, some kind of strawy-coloured urine that will indicate that your body's processing the water at a pretty steady rate, and so that your body is reasonably hydrated. Your mouth will also tell a story. If you're dry, if you are talking to someone and you get those little bits of spit flying out, which we all do from time to time, fair chance that you're now mildly dehydrated and it's time to do something about it.
And just a reminder, if you didn't listen to the first one, if you're down the pub and you're on pint number 5 or 6 and it's starting to get pretty clear, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's drawing the water out of you, just in case you were wondering. I think so. On
the volume conversation, I've heard a number of different times that about 33 mils per kilo of body weight is a pretty good guide. Obviously, though, as you alluded to, Justin, that's going to depend on the conditions. So if you're in the middle of summer or if you're in a humid climate, then you're going to probably need a little more than that, especially if you're spending some time outside. If it's the middle of winter and you've not been as active, you might not quite need 33 mils. But regardless of that, whatever the number is, even if you use that as a guide, if you pick that number, do the math, work out roughly what that looks like per hour, and aim to set that approximately per hour. So many drink bottles today have got measurements on them where you can see 100, 200, 300, 400 mils. If we actually want to be good at this and we actually want to best take care of our health, that'd be the way to do it. Don't worry about, oh, geez, is my pea clear yet, or is it dark yellow? All right, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. Maybe I'll have a glass of water now. Maybe just trust the process and sip throughout the day, the little bits at a time that our body loves and craves, and trust that that's going to take care of you in the long run, because it probably will. And in regard to what you just said, just one sec, Wade, in regards, Wade, to what you said before about needing to go at night, if we front load that and divide our water up between, say, the time you get up and maybe 4 hours before bed, right, get the volume that you need for the day before, say, 6 or 7 p.m., then maybe you don't have to have that drink at night, and you can avoid the situation where you're needing to get up to go and empty the bladder.
I'm going to experiment with that, because I've been waking up with some pretty bad headaches, and I'm sure it's dehydration. So I'm going to try different amounts before I go to bed to see if I can find the balance between getting through the night and waking up without the headache. I just quickly did the math, as you said to do, and 33 mils per kilo body weight. So if you're 60 kilos, that's 2 liters. So I think, and I guess if you're a big guy and you're 120, then you're looking at 4 liters. So just doubling it. Yeah. So I was thinking we hear in between 2 and 3. So I guess that's why, because most people are probably between 60 and 90 kilos, on average.
Yeah. We're all about roughly kilos. So about 2.5.
And then, as you say, for me, the big one's summer. Like, if particularly you've been out in the yard mowing lawns and stuff, like, you'd be sweating out a lot of water. Put it back. Even when you've got a cold, like, you blow your nose a lot. And I think that's why Mum, being a nurse, she's always like, make sure you drink heaps and heaps of water when you're sick. And part of that is, there's more fluid coming out of you. Yeah.
If you're going to do that experiment, Wade, I'd be really curious to know what you report back. Not only how you're feeling, but if you do you have a wearable when you go to bed at night? Like, do you have a watch?
Never been a fan. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You can do that study.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'll put my tinfoil hat on for a moment. That fluoride in water, there's a lot of, I keep seeing more information coming out where fluoride actually isn't great for your brain. Like, again, I'm not a scientist. You hear things where there's smoke, there's fire. I've always been a subscriber to that. But you can do your own research. Apparently, fluoride is put in water so it's easy to treat. So that's not about health. It's good for your teeth, keeping your teeth clean. That's not about hydration and health. So I know there are filters out there that can take it out. Things like countries in Europe that have banned fluoride in water. Like, if you want to go to the nth degree and get even, everyone's in a different spot on their journey. Just getting the water in, number one's the main thing. But if you want to go to those nth degrees, you could do your own research. There's court cases and stuff coming up all the time about fluoride. It's very interesting. I really don't know where to sit on it. But, if you're cleaning your teeth twice a day, I don't know. It's just something you might want to look into. You might even cut this out. I don't know what you guys have heard on it, but if 10 years from now, some real data starts coming out that this stuff shouldn't be in water, then I'll be like, I should have said something 10 years ago.
Yeah, I thought they had fluoride in water since, 70s, 80s, particularly in Sydney here. Like, I thought it was in the water supply primarily for dental health, or at the very least assisted in dental health. Like, the volume of cavities and poor dental health in areas where they don't have fluoride in the water kind of provides evidence that it works at the very least.
Yeah, but for me, I had an argument with a doctor's wife once years ago about this, and like, I'm not saying that the fluoride isn't protecting your teeth. Like, but that's I'm talking about what happens next. Where does it go after that? Like, because apparently the latest thing I saw was it's not good for brains. Like something to do with its plaque on your brain. Don't know. I said do your own research. There's lots of stuff. There's always the research is never ending. Like we're always learning more and more and more. And like look at something like Roundup. Like Roundup, everyone had in their shed once. It's banned all across Europe. They've worked out. Oh, actually, so it's just I'm just putting it out there. Something else that you might want to consider.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was a debate, but it's very interesting. I mean, science at any point is the evidence we've got right now, and as to that evidence, this is our best guess, and we're just waiting to be proven incorrect by the next wave of data. So, like it's a really firm opinion, loosely held, I think, is the best way to go with that. Like you've got to be willing to be able to change your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now I reckon that's enough water talk from me.
Yeah. Chase, you got anything else?
No more water under the bridge over here, Justin.
All right. Yes, if we have fired anyone up about the fluoride discussion, yes, water under the bridge. Listen to us next week. All right, so that'll do it. Look, the upshot is keep hydration, keep your water intake in mind constantly. It is, it's something we take for granted and is in that kind of, I'd suspect, dull area of your life that you really don't want to concentrate on. There's far more important things or interesting things that you'd like to turn your attention to. Ironically enough, if you don't turn your attention to this, you'll have the, brain fog and the mental kind of, slowness to not concentrate on the interesting things that you'd like to. It'll affect your performance. There's more chance of injury and cramping whilst doing activity at the very least. And if you really want to perform at your peak, both physically and mentally, hydration is something that should be high on your list of priorities. So that'll do us for...
as well.
Yeah, long-term. You're right. So that'll do us for another week. We are the EFM Health Club Podcast. We will catch you soon.